Okay, just to support the what I'm doing with this particular build, I'm going to throw up some pictures of the Spitfire wings to show the shapes and profiles that I'm trying to achieve with this build. So there they are now. What I'm trying to do, or I'm doing, is re-profile, well, not profiling it from above. The shape from above is fine, but I do have issue with the shape of the wing tips and the trailing edges because they're too chunky. They're a very, the Spitfire by its very design was built to be, it was an aerodynamic masterpiece in its day. I mean, they didn't care how much it cost to build it. They didn't really care how long it took to make it either, it seemed, when they built it. All the costs involved. So it was very labour intensive to make the actual shape of the wing. The wing tips were made out of a wooden core, when then they were skinned with aluminium, and it was screwed on with wood screws. I have seen some videos of the actual wing skins being putted, a bit like the P-51 Mustangs. I'm not convinced if that's true or not, but they were quite smooth when you see some of them. But in this case, it's an aluminium skinned aircraft anyway, so that you wouldn't see that. But they did make a lot of effort to make this aeroplane very aerodynamic and clean lined. Now, if you look at the kit out of the box, it looks alright. I mean, I've built one straight out of the box almost, and it looks okay. But when you dig deeper into the shape of the wings and how they should be on the real aircraft, Airfix could have done a lot better. If Tamiya had built this thing, it'd have been, well, they have done, haven't they? I've not seen the Tamiya kit, but they just seem to have lost the interest in making anything scale that they could have made scale. Now, I've done a lot of work on this wing. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to taper, I'm going to focus in on this wing. How do you get to focus on there? There we go. Now that's the trailing edges of this wing now, and the wing tip. God, it's so difficult to focus. And I think they're getting something like, I mean, I don't want to go any thinner than that, but that's how the trailing edges, in my opinion, should be, at least at this scale on this model. Now, if we go to the other side, just disregard the flap area, because I had a bit of a mare with the flap. You can't tell at the moment because the ailerons out on it, but I've had to do the same with this flap because I had troubles with the flap. I had to rebuild that. Let's go look at the video, the last video I did. So that's the wing, and this is the wing tip that Airfix have made. Now, if you compare the two, it's difficult to get it in. Version. And this is how it should look, in my opinion. I know it's not a big deal. First glance, it looks okay, but it annoys the crap out of me because it's just, that's not how a Spitfire is. It just isn't. That shape is all wrong. And this wingtip, which is the one for the right hand side of is thicker than the one that came in this one, so they vary as well. And you glue them together in two halves. So this video is about how I get from this to this. Now, that's not the end of the story either. The ailerons are just as bad. Now these are the aileron components, and they're cut in two parts, and they put a hinge in the kit as well. So you sandwich this piece into here like that, and then you glue this bit on the top, which is alright. So that goes on there like that, and then it flops about like this. And then that bit plugs into there. If I can get it to do it without it being glued, it's another matter. But basically it plugs into there, and it gives you the ability to then move the ailerons up and down. Now, ailerons don't move independently of each other. When one goes up, the other one comes down. That's it. They never go down together on a second World War fighter aeroplane. They just don't do it. On some jets they would do because they're hydraulic, and if the hydraulic pressure drops they can both sag. But on a World War II aircraft, one down, one up. Now I've seen so many of these kits now displayed, and you just, because they're done like this and people don't glue them in, well, they'll just plug them into there. They just both flop down. They just sit, they sag, both of them. They look silly. That's not how aeroplanes are. So when you do glue them together, you end up with a trailing edge like this, which is probably 2 times thicker than it should be. I'm going to try and compare it to this one again. Let's see how it should be, and that's how this one is. Again, don't like it, it looks rubbish. And also, when you, because it's in 2 parts and they've had to make it so that they put a silly hinge in there, they always have a little, trying to find it, when you glue it together, they don't fit together that well. You end up with a step in that bit there, so it's not flush, so it doesn't sit flat. You end up with a big gap. You can see it on camera. So the first thing you've got to do is address that. You've got to make this thing fit flush to that part there, which I'm going to show you how to do. It's not difficult, it's just standard modelling techniques. You just scrape away all the plastic in here, basically. So get rid of all the plastic in there, and get rid of, just basically make it as flat as you can in there. And it's a case of trial and error. You just got to keep scraping away. I'm not going to do it on camera because I can't do it on camera because I have to get close in when I'm doing it. But basically keep scraping away until that bit has got no step in it anymore. And then you glue them together. Now you can put the hinges in if you wish. I just don't do that. What I tend to do with these hinges, so I don't want them to move, I don't like them moving, I just cut them off. Right, so, and the only reason I put them back in the model is just to fill the gap. With the leave, because I do leave a bit of a gap. The big one goes in there. So push that one in there. I think it goes like that. And then put that one in there. And I'll just glue them in. Then it just makes a little bit, it doesn't really help gluing them on really. It just fills the gaps up in the thing. So that needs to be done. I'll glue those in. And then off camera I'm going to just make these fit so they do appropriate. Now we've got the wingtip as well. Now the wingtip doesn't fit that well either. It plugs into the end there. Yeah, flops about and blah blah blah. I haven't glued that together very well. That's it. So yeah, that just, it's not a very good, not the best thing in the world, but you can just plug it in, glue it on and forget about it, I guess. But it does need gluing up actually there. But it's just too chunky. It's like, I just don't know what they were thinking when they did this, because it's not like it's a 48 scale or a 72nd scale model or something. This is a 1/24 scale Spitfire, and with modern moulding techniques and a CAD now, they could have made that paper thin. Go look at any Tamiya kit and that would be a paper thin edge. It wouldn't be like this. It's like a kit from the 70s. They've gone backwards here. The rest of the models, a lot of the models, fantastic. I mean, the fuselage part of this kit is really good. On the wings it starts to go downhill a bit, and I don't understand why. So that's got to be glued in as well. So when we do that, what I tend to do is I build these components and I glue the whole thing together. And it won't stay in place. I know for a fact when I start bashing away at this thing with the file and stuff, the aileron will fall off again, which I don't mind. It just makes it easier to manipulate the ailerons and make them, I can thin them down while they're on the model better, so I can get it all to blend in together. Then remove them and finish them off. So I'm going to get that, I'm going to get this assembled, and when I get that glued on, then I'll come back to you. Okay, while I'm letting that dry, I just thought I'd pull out some bits from another kit just to show what I mean, or give some perspective as to my, I don't know, complaint about the kit, if you like. So this is the tailplane off the Spitfire. This is the later version tailplane. I think it's to compensate for the more powerful engines, the Griffin engine and stuff. But they stuck them on the Mark 9s as well. Now that's the trailing edge of the 1/24 scale Airfix kit, which again, face value, okay, 24 scale. This is a Tamiya Corsair tail fin rudder. Sorry. Look at the difference. This is 32nd scale. Bear in mind, it's not 24 scale. Now this is how this one should be out of the box. This is a Tamiya kit out of the box. I wouldn't do anything to this, it's fine. I mean, it's still thicker, but it's what they've done, they've tapered the edges off so that it's an illusion of thinness, if you like. And it's got the rib tapes in, but moulded into because it's a cloth covered structure. They've got the rib tapes, a lot more detail in that part. This part, video to come by the way. I'm gonna have to enhance this by removing all these ribs, thinning all the rudder down and putting the rib tapes back in. A lot of work involved. This is the tailplane. Oh, this is the rudder, the elevator, sorry. Same again, beautifully thin, straight out of the box. This is an aileron off the same kit. Straight out of the box, perfectly alright. What a monstrosity, it's horrendous. And what were they thinking? This is supposed to be the epitome of Airfix's efforts to make, you know, scale things. There is just about focus, sorry about that. So that's why I want to get it like this, because this is awful. It's horrendous. So anyway, when that's dry, I'll be back. We'll start butchering that to pieces. Okay, I'm back. I've got an audience, by the way. I've got these little, I don't know if anyone remembers Dad's Army, but this is Mr. Mandarin, we've got Pike, and we've got, God, what's he called? I can't remember now. Not Arthur. Anyway, somebody will remember. He always says, don't panic, don't panic. That's what I'm doing with this kit. Don't panic, we'll fix it. So, anyway, I digress. What we're going to do now, I've glued them in so that the top surface of the aileron is pretty much as flush as I can get it. So I'm trying to remove the thickness from the bottom. On this one I couldn't do it, it still didn't work, so I had to remove quite a lot of thickness from both. I probably will anyway on this one. So the first thing to do is make sure that these are dry, and they're not bad. And it's a case of what the first thing I need to do is keep, the only bit of detail I want to maintain is this bit here, and that isn't a line, this piece is on top of this piece in reality, so it's not really a panel line, it's a lip, if you like, which I might recreate in foil afterwards when I do this. Now I've got the luxury of being able to put a lot more detail back into this kit once I've foiled it. If you were going to paint it, you'd have to put all the detail back in before you painted it. In my case, I don't have to do that, but I do need to maintain this bit because I'm going to start sanding this quite aggressively. So what I need to do is scribe back in, or scribe in these a lot deeper than they are now. So I don't lose them. Don't worry about it running off because that won't be there. I just need to maintain that line. And that one. That's the only one I care about. Same on this one. enough for now. So what I need to address on the leading edge is just, it kind of, it's exaggerated, but it kind of goes in and then out again. I don't want that. I want it to follow a nice continuous curve. So big heavy file just to get that line right. So we're looking at it from above. It should just follow a nice continuous curve. I'm going to actually take a bit off there as well. I'm not pressing on hard with this. I'm sure you're all thinking I'm nuts at this point. There's a little detail to not keep, is that bit there, that join. That's how the wingtip, I think, is fastened to the aircraft. It's just bolted on. You can take this on the real one. You take this bit off and then bolt on the clip wing version. Just want that line quite deep as well. I'm not fussed about these rivets in here because I can add those on afterwards. Just look at reference photographs and guess what they are. They're very subtle in reality anyway. I'm going to saw that out afterwards. Same thing under here. I'm not too worried about these circular ones because they're all too deep anyway. I want to reduce them because they're all too exaggerated. So quite difficult to do on camera. Sometimes, again, it varies on how well you glue the wing together, and just varies anyway. There's a step between there and there. Not on mine, there isn't. I'm just going to keep doing this and I'll come back when I've got it to the stage where I can start sanding it. 5 minutes in, still going. It's getting there now. Now the wingtip's still ridiculously thick, so I'm going to have to work a lot more on this area. Okay. It took about, I don't know, 10 minutes with big file to get the actual shape that I want. It's still a bit thick at that edge there, so it leaves it quite rough. You think I'm crazy again, but it doesn't matter. I spent a lot of time when I was younger. Well, only recently actually. I built radio control flying models for years, and shaping a wing or anything with sandpaper and a file and what have you. It's just how you do it. It's how it's done. And then you basically start off. You shape things with files and a rough sandpaper, and then you smooth things with smoother sandpaper. And putting the detail back in is quite easy. I mean, we've got all the tools to do it. We've brad tools, brad holes, riveting tools, these things, all that sort of business. So as long as you know where the things are, to put the detail back in, it's quite easy. It just takes a bit of time and patience, like everything. So now I've got it to that stage. The next job is to hit it with some reasonably rough sandpaper. I think this is 180. So I'm going to get the final shape I want with this. Again, as long as you know where the detail is, and you tend to see it's left behind. It's like a ghost, I suppose. You see like a white line where some of the rivet is there would be. So just take away the gently away. As I was saying, building model airplanes, this would be like a piece of balsa wood to me, or later on in life, carbon fibre and all that sort of stuff. So that's coming quite nicely now. You have to remember as well, this is quite a big scale. It's not like a little 70-second scale model or a 48th or something, or even a 32nd. You've got quite a lot of latitude because it's a big scale. You've got the opportunity to change things quite a lot. That's why I like building this scale. What's coming. The bottom on this side has been a lot easier to work than this one. I don't know why. Airfix plastic's quite nice to work as well, it's quite soft. So I'm quite happy with that now. A bit thick there. I'll come back when I finish this stage. Okay, I'm back. I've basically profiled that wing to exactly how I want it to be now. The trailing edges are as acceptable as I can dare take them, really. I don't think they need to be any thinner than that. That's basically with a 180 grit sandpaper there. I'm now going to hit it with what's this, the 3000 grit Tamiya sanding pads, which should bring it back to how it needs to be to get to the point where you'd either would paint it, and in my case I'm going to foil it. So it's just a case of, this isn't removing much plastic anymore, this is just polishing it back up again. So I'm going to do this, then I'll come back to you with the next bit. Okay, I'm back. That's finished now. As I say, sanding pad. It took about 10 minutes just to get it smooth again. And what I'm trying to show here is, even though I've hit it with a big file and some 180 grit sandpaper and then sanding pad, there's still detail there. All the white stuff is basically dust that's filling the little gaps that the detail was there before. Obviously I've kept scribing these back in roughly, so it's just full of dust. So that detail's still there, that detail's still in that line. That just shows how deep the panel lines were to start with, even though I've filed them. So it's all there. So you don't have to be too concerned about hitting plastic model kits with files. It depends on the model, of course, and the scale of it. The smaller you get, the more difficult it is to do this sort of thing. But the smaller you get, the more thick things like this look silly, because it detracts away from the scaleness of things. You would never ever get a situation where the trailing edge is too thin on any model that you build at any scale. So get them as thin as you can get away with, basically, and they'll look more realistic if you want them to. It depends on what you want from a model and what you get from building model aeroplanes, but this is the way I see modelling. I'm trying to make models as look as authentic as I possibly can within the bounds of using plastic. So that's this wing done now. All I need to do now, I am introducing, and I can't show it on video, I don't think, modern ones now, even so, the skins do tend to be a little bit irregular. They tend to bow a little bit and buckle. So I've started just putting a bit of a scallop in some of the panels. I've done it on the wheel well there, and I've done a little bit around here. You can't see it, I don't think. It's just a case of, you just find a panel that you think would be appropriate and just scrape in a bowl and then just sand it in. Airfix have done quite a nice job of making the fuselage sides quite irregular. I think they call it oil drumming. It's like where the rivets go in, you get like a bold effect coming out. They've done a really nice job of it on the fuselage and it looks fantastic. But they didn't bother on the wings at all. I don't understand. The wings are in a different... The fuselage design and the way they've done the fuselage, apart from this part here, which is appalling, is very good. I mean, the cockpit detail's good. The wings, the fuselage sides are great. Everything's good about that fuselage. But the wings, it's like they took a day off. I don't understand. I don't understand why they've put lots of detail in the panels. They've put lots of rivet details in and over exaggerated axis panels and all that sorts of business, which is good. But they've just given up on the nuance of the aeroplane and what it was like. I don't understand really why they've given up on that. And they certainly didn't care about how thick things were. Anyway, we digress. I could whinge about that all I like, but it's given me an excuse to actually do this and make it how I want it to be. So that's as much as I need to do on video, I think. The next stage with this model is to start filing it. So next video will be how to file the wings. Video to come. Thanks for watching. Just to show I'm not completely nuts, this is the wing that I've started to file on this side, and this has had just the same treatment as this side did. So you can see that filing it, sanding it, etc. has done no damage to it whatsoever. And that's basically filed. It's not finished, obviously. Done a bit of it underneath, and I knocked the Aerodon out as well, just so we could file it separately, etc. So there you go. More to come on that.